It's crazy to think how many people I've spoken to where they're like, I didn't know anyone like after 30. Like Perico said the same thing.
What, you didn't know anybody older than 30?
Basically, yeah. Like, or like very few people that were like men that were older than 30. Mm-hmm. You know, like.
But that's a lifestyle. Not to say that they sign up for, but that's a lifestyle that they slipped into.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not to.
I think that's a better way to put it. I get really annoyed when like, I mean, who am I to say? But like, it's annoying when people say they signed up for it, and it's like a lot of the time it's like it's a lot more complicated than like it's not like a fucking you're not like a YMCA sign up board to play basketball.
No. But it's not. It's one of those things. It's like, you know, the Kanye West slavery is a choice. Yeah. No, it's not like a choice. It is a hard thing to unchoose if you're dealt with a certain. Yeah. If you're dealt a certain hand, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it is a wild thing that like even the dudes that you know that are over a certain age, they're married to that lifestyle. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So do
you feel a lot of people? I mean, like I feel like you know a lot of people that have kind of got out of it, right? Like as they get in their 30s. Nah. No? They're still really?
No, I mean,
I was like a few people we both know. Yeah.
Like not to say like, okay, I got a buddy. Yeah. Who's married now. Yeah. And he served his time. You know, he did all that stuff. He's married now, and and, you know, they're buying him and his lady are buying their first house, you know? And his lady is always like, you know, their biggest problem is like certain, like real life obligations based on something that you sign up for, things that you really care about, will take them off the square path. Yeah. You know?
Totally, yeah.
And like...
What? Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to interrupt. I was going to say, the thing about Greedo, too, is like, right, all right, Greedo, I guess Greedo went to Verbum Day, which was interesting because Verbum Day is like a pretty like middle class, like private school.
Where's that?
It's like I think it's in, I think like South Central Watts, like in the border, kind of like, It's like
something that, what is it called again?
Verbum Day. It's like a private Catholic school. Yeah. It was like actually a basketball powerhouse for a while. I don't know if it still is anymore, but like, you know, uniforms and shit. And like, he basically was like, he told me, he was like, they should have sent my brother there. He was the weirdo, which his brother was like, I think like the more well-behaved kid, and Greedo was kind of rebellious. And I guess Greedo lived in like Kansas City, I think, for a while, or St. Louis, one of the two. He was living in Sacramento for a little bit. Like he's been all over, you know. And I guess he showed up at Jordantown, so he was 12, 13, but he had a kid, I think, at 18. And he had a bunch of bullshit job, like working at like Robinson's May and shit. And then I think he started like, he got a couple convictions. Yeah. And then at that point, like, how are you going to get a normal job? Yeah. Who's going to hire you without a high school, even a high school degree with a drug or two on your record? Like, and when you have a job,
and when you have kids,
face tattoo.
When you have kids, you have this, especially at a young age, you have this like crazy thing where it's like you just got to get money. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like you got to get money, hand over fist. So like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you had a kid, what, 18?
19.
And you didn't have a college degree.
No, I didn't have a college degree.
You just had to like,
I had a Covert Park continuation degree. But then there's like things that I've had to do that are illegal for money at the time. But I'm not as with the shits as like somebody like that where they're like, I'm going to move 4 pounds of meth or 4, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I
like
think that was the culmination, but yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and, you know, I think I've been privileged in the sense of like having hip hop in my, like Leimert Park art, hip hop, money and battle rap and things like that. To that were like licks, versus like somebody who is from, you know, that side, you know, and who's that? Like if I was just focusing on music at the time, I don't think I would have been able to make
I mean,
make it without doing some really
it's a different
bad things.
I mean,
or going to get a 9 to 5.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And just totally, I'd be one of the dudes like driving a bus right now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It is weird to think about Watts like in the context of LA because it's like, whereas Leimert, like you could like drive through, you know what I mean? You're not going to accidentally drive through Watts like Jordan Down. You know what I mean? Like it's like its own kind of world almost. Like
it's a neighborhood.
Yeah,
it's like a neighborhood. Yeah. I mean, that's the crazy thing about LA. Like you don't have to be anywhere you don't want to be. Yeah, you know. Yeah. So like me personally,
like you could literally spend your whole life and never go to the Valley.
I don't go to the Valley unless there's like some money calling, right?
Yeah.
Like, but with like Watts, I never, unless my grandma taught there or the Roy Choi thing.
Yeah.
I would never go to Watts.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have. My mom lives in the jungles. My homie used to live in the jungles.
Yeah.
My whole life, I never went to the jungles until I had made a friend who lived there.
Yeah.
Or my mom's there. You know what? Why am I gonna be there? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know. That's what's crazy about. I think his music is like you watch the videos and it's like it has that feeling of like a neighborhood. You know, and yeah, I don't know.
A lot of trees and shit, and like backyards.
Well, he's just in the projects.
Yeah,
he's just like in Jordan Downs, but it's like it's weird to think like we've talked about this a lot. There's not that many organic LA rap gangster kind of street rap phenomenons. But we talked about, you always would joke around saying TD was like a boy band and shit. But
it was.
But like, it wasn't. But of course, like there's truth that
it definitely was.
Yeah.
Those are industry plants. Those are people who were signed before you knew who they were.
Yeah, that's
know.
I interviewed and this is no shade in any way, but like I remember interviewing Q and. It was him and Ab-Soul. This before, like right before Habits of Contradiction came out. He's like, we weren't really popping until the internet came on, until the internet kind of like blew us up, and then Dre came in. You know what I mean? The Dre thing came in, and then it was like a thing. Whereas Greedo, like it was interesting because I wrote that piece on Passion of the Weiss about Greedo, and like some people were being like, oh, this is just the white music critics decided to like this guy, and it's like, are you kidding? He had no white. Like I was. But when I wrote about him, he already had maybe 100,000 black fans or 50,000 black fans, and he had maybe like 10 white ones at that point. You know what I mean? Like it was completely people in Watts and maybe like
even still to this day, I don't think that's a music that that I don't think too many like white people really rock with. That's not one of those. No. That's not a. He's not a. He's doing a. I mean, he's taking a lot from like. Like white music, I could hear it,
Yeah, it's like kind of how Kevin Gates like definitely is listening to a lot of pop punk.
Yeah, but he's not making. I mean, I don't think he's making music for anybody but to express it. Yeah. But like even you, I think you showed. Oh, this is you didn't show like this is what you guys should like, but you show that there's like genuine love for him in a certain community,
totally.
in an area.
And I would say Draco to a certain extent too. Like Draco was popping before like anyone like a blog post.
Yeah. I think before we go over to Draco, one of my favorite things to do was to read the fucking comments in Mafia Business.
The YouTube comments for like,
oh my god,
I've learned more from YouTube comments of like certain.
Yeah. Like, but so like the Grape Streets are one of those gangs that like don't got a lot of friends, got a lot of alliances.
Yeah, he said he was blackballed from the industry
for real.
And there aren't any Grape Street people in the industry.
No, not at all. And like not a lot of Hoovers too, right?
I think only Q. I mean, like J-Rock was a bounty hunter.
Yeah. But so check this out.
That's a whole different.
If you look at the comments, motherfuckers be like, I don't fuck with Grape Streets and whatever whack
but
him
I
out.
Fuck with Greedo.
But I fuck with this music.
Yeah.
I fuck with this. People be like, oh, I'm a Crip from Tacoma. Fuck Grape Street, but this song is tight. I'm from Kansas City. Like that music, and it's really Mafia Business. Like, and I call Greedo like a blues man. Totally. Like he
that's a blues spiritual basically.
He made a song for his dead homie.
Yeah.
And like,
do you know the story? He recorded. That was the first time he ever played it. Was at the funeral. He sang it at the funeral. Yeah.
That's wild. And like.
It was literally a funeral requiem.
It's a requiem, and this, and like it just so it just shows like the power of art,
totally.
Because people literally
that's exactly what
people aren't supposed. They're not like they're not supposed to cross those lines.
It's universal. It's so deeply personal and specific that it becomes universal. And that's like it was interesting. A lot of people were like, not a lot of people. Like, there's always like one or two like internet idiots that just don't get it because they just like. Get really. I don't know.
No, but you won't get it if you're not in it. You don't get it. Like a lot of people, on the most part, they're not in the real world. They spend a lot of time on the internet. They spend a lot of time at work. They spend a lot of time in their families. But to be in the streets doesn't mean to be like in a gang or whatnot.
Yeah.
But to be like just dealing with dealing with a bunch of people that you shouldn't have to be dealing with. Yeah. Like dealing with a gang of different personalities.
Yeah.
And like just people in New York that take the train versus people that don't take the train.
Yeah.
You learn a lot about like you learn a lot about like respect and cultures and like and all that stuff. But people on the fucking internet that are just like, I live in the suburbs, I work, I go home, and then they see something that reminds them of something that they don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and it's because you live a sterile life.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah. No, the most value. The more I never learned more about LA than when I was like reporting out in LA and talking to people and just listening. You know what I mean? You think you grew up in LA and you're like, nope. Like you didn't. You grew up in a tiny little part of LA where you came in, and like that's what's interesting about LA is like if you are. I mean, you had obviously a pretty unique. But pretty unique experience. You're going around different parts. You're going from Culver City to Watts. It's growing up in South Central. Yeah,
South Central, Watts, Culver City, downtown.
Yeah,
my mom used to work in downtown. That fucking what is it? Yeah,
didn't your grandma live in like Baldwin Hills kind of area?
She lived in Ladera.
Ladera, right? Yeah. So it's like you're like all around.
I'm all city, all city Jimmy.
Yeah,
I'm all city, but
a true Leimert Park legend.
The best rapper in LA is what they say.
Yeah,
but.
Yeah, and then but Draco, that shit was crazy also too because like he's now like locked up, and they slapped a bunch of murder charges on him and his whole like Sting Team crew and everything, and like it's that shit. It feels very. I think he'll beat it, and it feels very like weird though because it seems like conspiratorial. You know, it seems like some real rap police shit where you don't really see that in LA. You know, LA hasn't historically had a rap police. It's had like a racist, bigoted police force.
Yeah. Isn't our police chief? Isn't he from New York or Boston? Where's he from?
No, well, he was Charlie Beck, who was. It's interesting because I wrote about it kind of in the article about Greedo a little bit, but basically, there was this guy, Colonel William Parker, right?
Yeah, that's the OG one. That's the one who militarized.
The OG racist, right? Yeah, like he went Marine in World War II, came back, was like, I'm going to militarize the police force. His chauffeur was Daryl Gates. And then I think you had Tom Bradley in between, like, but then you go.
Tom Bradley made it to lieutenant, and then
you're right.
And then opted out because of the racism, and became the mayor.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
And so then Daryl Gates. I think they had one guy after Parker between him and Gates, but Gates was like Parker's chauffeur, and then Gates mentored Charlie Beck. But although everyone says Charlie Beck is like significantly better than previous one, this is actually LA County Sheriff's Department that are fucking with Draco, which is his own thing. I was saying like Lee Baca is like really corrupt.
Oh,
and
Sheriff
like,
Lee Baca,
yeah. So I mean it's but I mean I don't know. I'm not really at a place to like the differences between the county sheriff department and like but I'm sure they're not exactly wonderful people either. But
that's a complicated world.
Yeah,
that whole like
it's like different competing police forces. Yeah,
police. You know,
and then they had the crash units, which was a gang of LAPD. You know,
the crash units are fucking, or they're just the gang police.
Yeah,
I'm happy that I'm not a gangbanger.
Yeah, like, that shit was a gang unto itself, like of just racist ass white policemen.
I mean, even
probably a lot of black police. I mean,
even when they're not racist, even like the gang. Dude, I don't even.
The blue line. That's what's interesting about police, right? Like it doesn't. Like I mean, it's like a lot of the police officers are racist, but or whatever, or white, but like all policemen, the blue line, I feel like goes above everything.
I can say that if you are a police officer and you're upholding a lot of stuff that if you're upholding justice in our flawed ass reality, there's no way that you won't do things that are like unfair racially. Yeah. Even if you're Mahatma Gandhi. Yeah. It's just the way things are. Yeah. You know? But I can say that I've come across people, crash dudes, and they gave me I'm not affiliated. Yeah. I just go by vibes, intentions, you know, whatever hippie shit. I get the same energy from people that are on crash that I get from gangbangers. Yeah. You feel me? Yeah. And so like where motherfuckers are like I know like this motherfucker, he's just with the shits. And if I do this thing, then this is a conflict or like, you know, but instead like this dude from like, you know, this gang is like going to want to fight. But this guy, he wants to fight too. Yeah. But he's going to fight and throw me in jail tonight. You know? Yeah. So like I feel like the police and a lot of those dudes, they look at a lot of this shit as a game. And it's like how many people can I tag and bag, you know, or if a guy like Draco, like, oh, this guy thinks he's above the law or talks as if he's
and that's what it was. And they're playing his music when they put him in the station house. They're playing his music and they're talking about all his music and like, oh, this video. They're watching all his videos.
So gangsters, right? Yeah. Alpha male people, whatever the fuck, you know, they they listen to oldies.
Yeah.
Right? When they hear stuff that's not about their game, but stuff that talks about being tough, like, they were